Today's guest is a Nodak Speedway champion, and his love for racing goes way back. Joining me now, it's Robby Rosselli. Robby, pretty much when it comes to your story, winners just kind of win at Nodak Speedway. Glad to have you on the show here today. Before we get to all the hardware that you've won around dirt track racing, let's talk about how and why did you first get into the sport?
First up, Ben, I'd like to thank you for having me on. Basically, just got into racing with my dad being involved with it. I was more or less born at a racetrack, and I guess just kind of carried on to where we're at now.
Were you actually born at the track like the opening scene in Talladega Nights, or was that a metaphor?
No, I think that's just a metaphor.
Okay, even if that's the right word for it anyway. So, any memories? You guys probably did like a bunch of trips with your dad. Anything kind of really stand out when you were real literal, like, boy, this one race was crazy and it really made me fall in love with the sport?
No, it's just, I don't know, just being at the track and going to all these tracks throughout the state of North Dakota, growing up into Canada. I can still remember going to Williston all the time with my family and having to stop at Marketplace Foods and get these homemade sandwiches or whatnot, get to the hotel and eat those and go to the racetrack. And it was just kind of a weekly deal, or a weekend deal, I guess, every weekend for the family to just go to the races.
Marketplace Foods happened to be one of your sponsors, or just they were actually there?
Actually, I think it was Albertsons back
Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay. The merger happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like you have this foundation about racing from your dad and hanging out with your family, going all over these places? If nobody in your family gave a crap about racing, do you feel like you'd be as big a fan of the sport enough to participate or just follow it at all?
That's a tough one to answer there. I want to say I would, because I don't hunt, I don't fish, I don't camp, and if I didn't race, I don't know what I would do. My dad was a big inspiration of racing, and me getting into it.
Big times, man.
Yeah.
Another person that was along for the ride, no pun intended, with you was your cousin Craig Kastner here. I wanted to ask you about the relationship that you guys had growing up. Maybe you kind of roughhoused a little bit on the van trips down to all these tracks, but how fun was it to also have a cousin and a friend learning this sport as you grew up?
Growing up or whatnot and going to family functions and seeing Craig there, we really didn't hang out. Craig he looks like he's about 28, but I think he's 42, so he's got, 5-6 years on me. But we really didn't hang out at family function deals, and then he ended up coming to Underwood one night and watching us race, and he came down after the races, and I had my stock car then, and probably shouldn't be having this on the air, but we can put it on there anyway.
That's what podcasts are for.
Yeah.
Comfortability.
But I had Craig jump in my stock car, and I took him for a ride out on the track after the races, and I actually was, getting after it a little bit, and looked over, and all you seen was a big old smile on his face, and just kind of, it grew from there, and he started helping me out in 2013, and that guy has dedicated a lot of time, to my racing and helping me get to where I'm at, and I can't thank him enough. He also started racing himself, I would say like 2017 for a few years into that sport compact class. There's a couple things in the works right now where he might be in a sport mod. He was going to be in it in 2020, but things just didn't work out like we had planned. But there is a car there that he possibly may be driving in 2021, and hopefully we can help him win a few races.
That's awesome, man. He's like Cal Naughton Jr. stepping up into the ride, or what?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you guys have this relationship growing up, being related and such. How does that help the success of the race team? You already said he's very dedicated, but to have, I guess just same blood there working on the car all the time.
Yeah, it's good, and every time you start something new, you got to learn it, and he was like that, but he caught on fast, and it's to the point now where I can trust him, and I don't have to double check his work or whatnot. Usually I got him double checking my work.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's even to the point where people ask, how many nights you get out of your tires, and I can't even answer them because that's Craig's job. So, but
he gets the tires on the car, and I just drive it, or what?
Yeah, he basically takes care of the tires and body work, and then he helps out with setup stuff. He's learned a lot in that over the years, So.
I hear a lot of the pro athletes say when they get done playing sports, they just miss the camaraderie. It's not even about winning per se towards the end. It's just like missing the freaking guys. Does that vibe like show up in the garage? I mean, you guys have a lot of fun while you're putting in the work.
Oh yeah. We've done some crazy stuff and try to have fun while working on the car and not just being so serious all the time. But I think there's more serious than there is playtime.
Oh, okay, because you got the play times for victory lane and then afterwards, right?
Yep.
Very good. So those are two main pillars that I brought up in the early going here, your dad and Craig. Tell me a little bit about who else you have to thank for this racing career that you've enjoyed.
I got to thank my girlfriend. She's married. She's been pretty supportive of my racing or whatnot. She hasn't even missed a race at all.
She wants you to say very supportive, not just pretty supportive, probably.
Yeah. Well, she's very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, all my sponsors or whatnot, Uncle Mario's Pizza and OG Lucky Smoke Shop, they were new and came on board this year. And huge supporters along with Four Seasons Restaurant out of Garrison, Me Mexico Mine at Spielman Excavating, T-Shaw Race Cars out of Arkansas, Swift Springs out of California, Centerpoint Graphics, which they do all the wrap design, and my T-shirts are out of Arkansas. Fast Shafts, they're out of Iowa. My sister Arcapelli, she's local here in Minot. Velocity Race Suits out of North Carolina. Precision Performance out of Iowa. Schoenfield Headers out of Arkansas. Dirt Defender, they're out of Texas. Batesville Hobbies, they're out of Arkansas. Arrow Wheels out of Iowa. Day Motorsports out of Texas. Without all those guys, we wouldn't be as successful as we've been.
And you can definitely tell how important they are considering how you were able to just rattle off all those sponsors without even looking at a piece of paper or anything, Robbie.
Yeah, it's a lot better when you can look at a picture instead.
I know your sponsors, they got to be on that car. What about just the paint job? What color schemes? How do you come up with that? I mean, what's like your favorite look that you like to have on the track?
I don't know why, but I'm just kind of stuck on yellow. And then the number 0, that's just because of what my dad was when he started racing back in the days. And I like fluorescent pink. I like bright cars, ones that catch your eye type deal.
Yeah, you're like all those kids that play AAU basketball and they have their flashy socks and shoes. I think it pops, man. It's nice. So, without giving anything away that you wouldn't want just out in the open, how unique can you kind of build a race car to race like on Nodak, like within like the regulations, but also like have an edge and know that you're going to have a fast riding car?
Everyone's got their own ideas on how things should work or whatnot, and over the years you just kind of figure out what does and doesn't work, and you're always searching, you're always trying to make things better, and you want to try to keep that stuff to yourself because you don't want to share that to help out your competition, because next thing you know you're racing against that. But we're usually, we're always trying to make the car better as far as handling, or if we can make the motor perform better, or there's always new things coming out that says it'll gain you here and gain you there. Again, you're just always trying to make your car better.
That's great to see that racing also has that kind of coach speech where you can say something but you don't give it away. Fantastic, right? So you got a lot of success. Do you feel like you would be as dedicated to racing if you weren't winning so many races, man? What if it was a grind and you weren't seeing those paydays, those checkered flags as much?
Well, in the end, everyone wants to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's, you can come back. You this weekend you can come back and get second, but you're going to come back next weekend and you're going to try to win. And you're not going to win them all, but you're definitely out there to win. And if you can win, you'll get championships. And I just think it all just snowballs together and gives you the results.
I don't know if it's like the excitement. The sport can be inherently dangerous, or there's stakes at certain races. Do you still get nervous ever for any reason when you're going behind the wheel?
Oh, you get nervous. There's plenty of times you'll get nervous, but it's when you're sitting there and making sure that you're going to hit your mark or where you need to be or whatnot. But when you're on the track, that stuff just kind of goes away, and your main focus is on the track.
When we were getting ready for this, I doubled back to our news story that we did a while back about just your career and, again, a lot of relationships that you had. And a couple of the stops that you mentioned were really fun to go to. I think Algona, Iowa. Am I saying that right? Algona. And Minnesota were another, like, out-of-the-way spots you already brought up going up to Canada. Tell me about those two places in Iowa and spots in Minnesota that made racing unique out there versus being here in North Dakota.
I guess with that being said, is one thing I was always told is you're only going to be as good as your competition. You stick around and you race locally and you win, you're only as good as them. You travel out of state and you go to other races and you perform better. That's the only way you're going to be better. I think it was 2007. We went down and we hit 3 tracks before going to the Super Nationals in Iowa. We went to Fairmont, Minnesota, then we went to Algona, Iowa, Mesa City, Iowa, and we ended up running second in Algona. We ran second to IMCA stock car driver David Smith. He's a past national champion, so that was good to feel that, as well as beat some of the guys that you beat down there, as well as you know how good they are.
So I guess that's kind of maybe where the motivation, like the shoulder chip comes from. Hey, I've been winning here. I want to go there and win.
Yeah. Again, you just want to do as best you can. We've traveled elsewhere too. You know, besides Iowa and Minnesota, we went down to Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota. We went down to Las Vegas in 2009. We actually ended up winning that deal in the stock car. Passed a guy with 2 laps to go. So that was a huge accomplishment too. I still think.
So what about in 2017? You guys go ahead and win the Tougher Than Dirt Tour. It's not just one track. How were you guys able to sustain enough to win something like that?
That was a long week, I'll say that. It was 5 nights. It involved Minot, Underwood, Dickinson, Williston. Actually, 2 nights on Minot, but it was 5 nights in a row. You know, a lot of time and effort, and getting home at 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I remember getting home from Dickinson the one time. Actually, it was Wilson, sorry. Getting home at 5 in the morning and then getting up at 9 to go to championship night in Minot. That was pretty stressful, but we came out on top, and that was our goal going in.
It kind of makes sense just based on a story like that the big series is sponsored by Monster Energy.
Yeah.
I guess so. So I'm going to move to a couple of other recent successes that you've been able to have here. Talk about the Sport Mod Championship at NODAC. You guys get after it in 2019 and get her done. What made that year special as the other kind of front-running years where you...
18.
I think I said 18 on the Sport Mod.
I said 19.
Okay, yeah. Good. You're going to mess me up. I'm going to cut that. All right. So another way that you guys got it done was in the 2018 Sport Mod Championship at NODAC Speedway. You've had a lot of front-running years, but what made it? What put you over the edge that time to win the championship?
Just a lot of consistency. I think we won 4 features that year. We came across some stuff that was working, and it was. I think we were in the top 3 or. I want to say the top 3 every night that year, and ended up getting driver of the year from NODAC as well.
Yeah, I mean you got to get driver of the year if you win the Sport Mod Championship, right?
Yes.
You got to feel it, man.
Yeah.
So one point that you kind of brought up was as you thanked so many people, your dad not only got you into racing, but as the team kind of grew up, he was able to help you physically and financially. I mean, what did it mean for you to have someone like that just buy into your career, I guess, literally, and how was he able to help you as the years went on?
My dad was, he was a huge supporter physically. It was, if he could help out, he would. Financially, he was always supplying my fuel. He would, one way or another, we would figure out how to make it work. He was helping me find sponsors. Just being there, and being supportive.
What was it like? Any parent is going to be supportive, but to have him in the pits with the team versus being in the stands and just watching and cheering. I mean, that's a little bit extra, isn't it?
Yeah, yep, for sure. Riding with to the races and just pointing out what I need to do better and never give up. And I mean, you could win or you could get 10th, and he was still telling you good job, and he was proud of you. Miss hearing that kind of things.
What was some of the ways that you said like he would tell you you could do this to get better? What was some of his tips that he gave you to kind of like refine your ability while you were driving, or just to maybe tinker with the car to make it better?
He would just point out, a couple things of what he thought the car was doing. Um, just, I remember many times just telling me to stay calm and relax, but when you got adrenaline, that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah. You ever have that kind of like driver rage or whatever? You see like NASCAR's like, they're doing it and getting upset all the time, Robbie, but that's not the kind of guy you are, or totally is it?
No, not at all.
Oh yeah, right. that was on a take two. We'll admit to that.
Yeah.
So back seriously though, obviously your dad was an awesome supporter for your race team over the years, and you said that he was physically capable of helping you guys out, and even like when he wasn't, he was still always there for y'all. Unfortunately, like he recently passed not too long ago for you. I know it's something that I really appreciate you talking about, just the relationship and going in about that. And it has to be just a super tough topic for you, but there was a couple of occurrences during 2019 where you were always like dedicating your performances to him, but like there was definitely like some points where like, boy, it must have really resonated with you. Talk about just winning on opening night within like all the things that your family and your team was going through at that point.
We started that night out as we were dedicating that night. Nodak was to my dad. My dad's a past Hall of Famer, board member. I shouldn't say past Hall of Famer, current Hall of Famer for the Nodak Speedway. We dedicated, that night and did a couple victory laps for him before the beginning of the night. I think we ran second that heat, and then the feature there, I want to say we fell back to like 13th or whatnot. I mean, we started like 10th, but just kind of let everyone get shuffled out, and this was, again, like I said earlier in this deal, just stay calm. And I was trying to be patient because I'm not one of those guys that as soon as the green flag goes, you just need a hammer on it and just get yourself to the front. I'm just not like that. I just think that puts you in worse positions or whatnot. But I remember getting up on the top of the track, the outside, and the car was working really, really well up there, and we were battling for the lead with, I think, Brady Biella. We passed for the lead, and then the next thing you know, Eric Logschlager's poking his nose in there on the bottom, and we had a good battle with Eric on that deal.
Oh, yeah. He's one of those nose pokers, yeah.
Yep. We ended up battling pretty good with him, and it just, I don't know, like it just seemed like I could hit my marks every time. Like my dad was right there and had his hand on the wheels. Like I said in that interview that you did before, they tell you when you lose someone close, they're gone, but they're not gone. And, like you let some of that stuff, before something like this happens, just go in one ear and out the other. But like I was saying to you, Ben, before this interview, like until you experience it, you won't believe it. But when you experience it, it's a feeling you can't even explain. I used to clean porta potties for work.
Nice.
Yep. Kind of a
crappy job.
Or in other words.
Yeah.
But I can still remember being out on a location and cleaning, and like my dad tapping me on the shoulder and telling me that I missed a spot. It's just, again, you just can't describe the feeling that gives you. But back to that opening night, we obviously wanted to win that and dedicate that to my dad, and I'll never forget that. So.
Mm-hmm. Was there any other moments throughout that season? Obviously, like there's going to be a lot of electricity on any opening night, and obviously it meant a lot more for you this time around, this opening night, and people would, expect that to be the case. But any other kind of certain race nights, or maybe just working in the shop days, come up, and I guess as you remember that season, and were there any other moments that were like, boy, Rosie would be saying this right now, or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. There's plenty of times like that. Or there's also stuff that, happens at the track. And Craig there and I will always talk about, like, imagine what Dad would be saying, or Dad would be saying this. And there was a couple other highlights in 2019. We ended up, we lost that Tough on the Dirt Tour by one night. I think we got rained out 3 of the 5 nights. We ended up winning the Two Strong Tour night up in Estevan as well as a championship up there.
All right, so that was obviously a season to remember. Probably the later part of the 2010s, you've had a lot of success. Your dad obviously helped you a ton here. But with that in mind, if he's able to help you out, is he a better driver than you? You guys ever get to race one-on-one?
We never did get to race, and I don't even know if I actually see my dad race.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Because, yeah, you were saying, like, it was like he was driving. It was like, well, I mean, he's probably a champion in himself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I wish that would have happened, for sure. That would have been.
So you're like Tom Brady to his Bill Belichick, I guess, in that regard, or what?
I know he's always said that how do you say it? That he was never as good as I was. I know he has said that, but I don't want to take that away.
All right, so that was all the hardware from the late 2010s. How about 2020? What's it been like for you?
2020, we ended up winning the track championship at the Nodak Speedway here in Minot. That was the only track that we ran weekly. We did go down to, I shouldn't say go down to, but we ran that Tougher Than Dirt tour that Brandon Beater puts together. A little bit different format than years past with this coronavirus thing going on. Usually it's 5 nights in a row, but it was 5 nights spread out. It went to Bottineau, Minot, Underwood, Dickinson, and Williston. Williston ended up getting rained out, but we ended up bringing home the hardware for that and winning that by 1 point. So that was good to win that Tougher Than Dirt tour, for the second time since 2017.
So sometimes the nights get rained out, or ever get a chance to go just mudding for the heck of it, or no? Does that ruin the car?
No, it was a little bit of a relief on, on Williston, getting rained out. I mean, we weren't by any means nervous or anything, but it was just one of those deals that if that's just how it was going to play out, then that's how it was going to play out. Just kind of like in 2019 when we lost it by 1 point. Nothing we could do about it. If we would have ran Williston, we might have ended up winning the tour still. We might end up getting third in the tour, You just never know.
So what about 2021? Are you just going to, win every race or what?
Well, our goal for 2021 is to definitely go out and win, but I don't think we're going to – I don't know. I mean, we say it every year that we're not going to go for any track championships, but then, 3-4 races into it, you're leading the points or you're 1 or 2 out of the lead, and you see that sitting there and just kind of a deal, you just want to keep on digging and hopefully win that championship.
Yeah, and then you just got another track championship just lying around the house or what?
Yeah, I guess.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, it's been an incredible racing experience for you and your family, Robby, and I appreciate you really just opening up about this topic completely with your entire career and what it's meant for you and many others that have helped you along the way here. Really appreciate your time, and thanks for stopping by, man.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me.